Welcome to the final part of my annual review of all my coloring books and colored pictures. There will be a final series about my empty books, but this will be video about books where I at least colored one or two pages. I think that let's start from these two issues by Coloring Haven magazine, and one of them is this uh, annual which has multiple artists inside, and it really helped me to learn about some new names, about new artists. First of all, I learned about Adele and I immediately fall in love with her art. Very beautiful pictures. But speaking about my finished pictures, here I have my first couple of pictures by Jasmine Beckett Griffiths, and that's where my love started. And when I finally was able to color in her real books, you know that now Jasmine is one of my favorite artists. So here I did this Halloween picture, and even on this paper I managed to work with new colors to create this apocalypse sky, and I did her this burnt wings. I hope that you can see some texture on them. I used with black acrylic and then on top of it with pencil to create this texture. So apart from the stains and not very nice coverage of the background, I do love this page, but I think now when I finally purchased myself also Halloween book by Jasmine, I simply can color this page once more, but in the book now. Oh, here beginning wasn't very successful. I started from the background with alcohol-based markers, you can see it. Then I totally disliked how they mixed together. I had very limited amount of colors, so instead I covered the whole area with pencils. Here I'm pretty happy with her face and hair. That's where I realized that actually I can color girls by Jasmine by adding just a little bit of shading. And it was interesting to color skulls. I think that here I even mixed some of the uh, color blend pencils, so not very often, set which I use not very often or just couple of times, but here various shades of grey were helpful. So it was beginning of my love to Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. Here we have a nice selection of pictures. Another artist which I was able to learn about is Angela Sasser. I hope that this spring I will do a couple of Angela Sasser pictures. And that was the first time when I learned about Selina Fenech. Here we have a couple of pictures from her Goddess book, which I definitely want to purchase. I think that it will be a last book which I want to add to my huge collection of Selina Fenech's art. And I always wanted to do this one, but I think that I would like to do it in a book, not in this magazine, so that's why I hadn't started yet to color. So very nice issue, but let's move to the other magazine, which was by Lindsay Archer. Unfortunately, I don't know if Lindsay Archer has actual coloring books or maybe PDF coloring books, but designs here in these magazines, they were quite nice. And I especially love that it has not only women goddesses, but also gods from various cultures, various countries. So here was my Ganesha. I did background with gouache and then worked with Prismacolors, I believe, on the main image, and of course I added a lot of gold. I love that I risked to work with violet colors for the skin, and I think that in the end all colors look nice together, all four colors. Do I have anything else here? Probably. Yes, I do have one other page here. Again, colored with acrylic paint. I participated in Kolorowanka, where we had to find pictures and to color something inspired by dances. So originally it was spellcraft, but I tried to turn it into flamenco dance. I think that it can be, you can find something similar, this strong spirit of passion of flamenco dance, so that's why I did this acrylic background with various colors of memory acrylic paints. I slightly changed her dress, and I am glad that it was one of my first successful attempts to use acrylic for coloring. That's it for Coloring Haven. I think that now I want to show you Myth and Magic. I recently did picture which I consider my best one in this book, and it was a winter rose. Just need to adjust all my books around. So here I started to color when I even hadn't have Prismacolor pencils, and I quickly realized that if I don't want to mess up, I definitely need to gather skills and to have better pencils. So I put it away for some time, and my next project here I did only when I got decent pencils. Here I used mix of polychromases, various green colors of polychromases, and Prismacolors. I really enjoyed doing this one, but I realized that these pictures, all of them, will be very time consuming because of the many details. So again, I was a little bit intimidated. But this year, this May, when I tried to find pictures for the mermaid, I realized that here I have one of the most beautiful mermaids, and I did it. I can't say that it was easy. I started from some underwater elements. Probably it wasn't the wise decision, so I was afraid that they will be distracting attention from the mermaid, because from the very beginning I wanted to do her with golden tail. But in the end, when I added this dark sky, when I created this area of stars which are slightly shining because of the golden paint, I would say that everything gathered nicely, and now picture looks very well balanced. Mermaid is central part, and I do love how background behind looks. I do love reflection of the stars in the water. So this is definitely one of my favorite pictures. I love it. And I love how these scales on the tail, they are slightly shining because I added a little bit of darker yellow, lighter yellow, a little bit of orange, and even a little bit of lavender to show reflection of many lavender and lilac colors around. So I'm happy with this one. Immediately after this picture, I started this Beauty and the Beast. I don't know, something was appealing for me in composition of this page. Here I'm pretty happy how I did background, various pastel colors from Prismacolor sets, even such unusual colors for the background like ginger root. So they created nice pastel background. But then it was slightly difficult to understand why Beauty is standing on top of the rose bush, and also the cord, the parts of the body of the beast, they were a little bit strange. They covered by fabric, but at the same time they have look like it's full. So I struggled a little bit. I decided to make two colors of rose bushes, like connection of the war of roses with white and red roses. In that, I do love this page, but maybe it's a little bit too much on it. Something is bothering me, probably original look of the beast, I don't know. At least my next finished project, which I published this December, but actually which I colored during this summer, is this winter rose. And honestly, I do love this one. I tried not to look at the original painting by Kinuka Craft. I know that I would be intimidated, or at, at the very best I would copy original painting. Of course, here you don't have a lot of choice for colors. We have this snow, we have mountains, we have starry night behind, but I am quite happy how I colored everything here, and this coloring really helped me to get rid of any fear to start new projects in this book. Another very good book, one of the books which I consider like real gemstones in my whole collection, is this one. It's Briar. I was very fortunate that I managed to get this book. But for now, the only one picture which I did here was this picture which I did couple of years for the Yule. I do love this phrase. I combined watercolors and then worked a little bit with pencils for small details, and for the festive fairy I used pencils. Very nice, and book has quite good paper. The only problem is that a little bit difficult to lay it flat, but comparing to the beauty of the designs, it doesn't matter. My problem was that one day I decided to do this page. I was totally in love with it, but unfortunately my acrylic paint, which I decided to use for the background, where I wanted to mask a lot of black lines from the sky, it was old, so it created quite streaky background. I hated how it looks, and now I don't know what to do. I'm afraid that if I would apply second layer of paint, it won't be able to mask these stains and everything would look even worse. I'm not sure that I can apply neo colors here, so I'm not sure which medium to use for correcting this background. And if I'm able to correct the background, then of course I would like to finish this one. I also wanted to do a project for this winter. I wanted to do this one. I hadn't enough time in December, but maybe I will do it in February or January. Now let's move to Barbara Lanza. I do love the style of Barbara Lanza. I know that some of the books were published by Livre in Creative Heaven series, but I have this edition with not very good paper, and that's why I did only one page. I do love how it looks, but I remember how much I struggled with layering here and with problems how to cover all white spots from the paper. I definitely will be coloring in this book, especially now when I have clear gesso. So for the pages with empty backgrounds, like this one, or this one, I will be finally able to use watercolors. So now I'm much more optimistic about these books, because for me designs, they are gorgeous. It's simply because I didn't like my first attempt how paper behaved, I stopped to color. But maybe now when I have bigger selection of pencils and harder pencils like Arteza and Polychromasis, I'm sure that I will be doing more in this book, because designs, they are very lovely, very beautiful botanical elements, nice birds, and of course beautiful fairies. Another book which I did only one page. I tested some mediums here when I got this book. At least I tried to realize how I supposed to color grayscale books. I think that it was my first Grayscale. Usually it's totally not for my taste, but here pictures were so amazing that I wanted to color it. And I realized that it's not that difficult. You can see that designs are absolutely gorgeous and it's also a Christmas story. But I did this one. It was nice and in the end it looks very nice. But it wasn't interesting because all the shadows they already were indicated. For me, I hadn't had to think about anything. I just had to think about color balance, but not about light and shading. Maybe it's relaxing, but for me it was unusual, so and that's the only page which I have here. I simply admire artwork here. I don't think actually that this beauty requires colors. They are very beautiful by themselves. Like, look at this one. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. Next, I have another two books by Creative Heaven. But they are not so popular as my Teresa Goodrich books. So here I have a book which was inspired by designs by Mucha, Alphonse Mucha. I still hadn't checked how to pronounce them in English, so sorry, Sir Alphonse. And I did only one page here using alcohol-based markers. And I still think that it was nice medium for this book with very big backgrounds. I think that my only problem with this book was that black lines were extremely thick. Yes, I know that they can represent mosaics or stained glass windows because Mucha, he worked with posters with stained glass windows, but still I prefer lines to be slightly thinner. And now, when I have another book dedicated to art of Alphonse Mucha, I definitely prefer that book. But this one is also lovely, and now when I have my new set of alcohol-based markers, I can practice here. Here I am not afraid to start to practice, and designs really are good. The other book which was sadly neglected by me is this Steampunk Designs by Martin Noble. I still love this one. I don't have any explanations why I don't color in it more often. For now I have here one finished project and I do like it. As usual, I struggled with shading on the skin, and I think that I tried to use here for the skin different drawing pencils, and now skin, or especially skin of the man, looks a little bit dirty, but what can I say? We all are trying to learn, and I'm not disappointed. I do love this page. I prefer to use for steampunk pictures colors like blue, green, brown, a lot of grays, and of course a lot of metal colors, golden, copper. So for each of the pages I'm quite limited in color selection, and I do like it. For me it's a nice challenge. I started to do another project here. I'm quite happy with my progress, and if I manage to finish it successfully, of course, I have a lot of work ahead of me for this picture, but I hope that I will finish it and then I will show you all videos for this picture. And that's all, and it has so many interesting designs. Especially love this one. And we will be moving to totally different style of the book. Yeah, this book is quite famous on my channel because it's actually my first one. I hesitated if I need to show you this one. I recently made video which was called My Firsts, where I actually shown a lot of my ugly first pictures here, but I decided that if it's a full review, then quickly I will show you. My problem here is that binding is a little bit fragile, and I constantly worry that pages will start to fall out. This ugly page was made with color softs. I don't even want to talk about this horror page. It's made with Inktense, and all my first pages with Inktense were strange. The problem here, now I realize what is the problem. It's because there is no difference between foreground and background. Objects, elements on the foreground have the same brightness, the same strength of colors as have buildings which are far from us on the background. The same thing goes here. There is no difference between water here and here, between brightness and colors of the buildings here and here. And at that moment I wasn't able to get what is the problem. I didn't like the result, but I wasn't able to find the reason why. So some of these pictures are my first attempts where I just made my first steps. Very quickly I realized that I do love these designs, and maybe it's not the best way where to practice if I don't want to mess up all the beautiful images. So quickly I started to purchase another books and to practice in less complicated books. My famous first ever colored page. Here I have a couple of pictures which I colored much later and where I was much happier with the result. I just need to find them as usual. This one I did probably after a year of coloring, and here I felt much more confident already. And where are my finished projects? Where are my Notre Dame picture? Sorry guys, just a minute. This one. I colored this picture after a very sad day, after a fire inside the cathedral. I was so sad. It was such a terrible sight of that fire, of that ruined cathedral. So I decided to do this page. In the original page, it's supposed to be fall. It had a lot of leaves here, just couple of leaves on the branches, but I decided to turn it into a picture full of hope. That's why I turned it into a spring picture, and we have a lot of spring flowers on the branches. I really hope that when everything will be back to normal, when we will be able to travel again, cathedral also will be rebuilt, and once again I will be able to visit it. And another page which looks much better comparing to my first results was this one. It's with building of the Louvre Museum and with Tuileries Gardens, and almost completely I colored it with watercolors. The only thing where I used pencils were on the body, on the statue. I wasn't sure how to do actually a white stone, so I decided that I'd better color it with pencils. And I do love how it looks. Maybe I need to color more in this book using watercolors, because paper totally allows it even if book is double-sided. It's a very good book. I don't know if it's still available, maybe on Amazon France. And I know that Issa Cho has a couple of similar books about other cities, and I would like to have them also. And if you are able to get this book, I highly recommend it. It's very nice, if you love Paris, of course. Now we will be moving to a very strange book. It's fun, it's good, and I got it when I wanted to practice more with acrylic paints. This book, it consists of famous paintings but transformed for these very beautiful fat ladies. And I decided to use as a first project this beautiful painting based on the painting by Gustav Klimt. I decided that here, with such style of images, I definitely won't be afraid to practice. You can see that here we have Alphonse Mucha. So I decided that here I'm totally not afraid to use acrylic paints. You can't mess up with this style of pictures, and paper is actually good, so quality of the book is optimal, very good. It was fun. I think that maybe it's not every day in the mood for coloring something like this, but I'm glad that now when I reminded about existence of this book in my collection, maybe I will be coloring more in it. Next I have two books by Masa Vanderburgh, and in each of them I did one page. In this mandala book, mandalas are very difficult for me to color. I never have enough creativity to select colors or to color repeated elements in such a way that it would look interesting and not very boring. You can see that even here I struggled a lot with this. The only thing which I was able to add for the background were those circles in various sizes with soft pastel. And I remember that I did it immediately after I got my set of polychromases, so it were my first attempts where I tried to find color combos of matching light and dark pencils. And in the second book I did a little bit more, but I can't say that apart from this portrait that I'm very happy with my other attempts. Somehow these ornaments, again, they are difficult for me to color. Something is missing from these pictures when I start to do them. I do my color planning. I try to select matching colors, but in the end everything looks not so good. I think that it's all for this book. I really wanted to do this one, but I wasn't able to imagine something which I can add for the background, and I didn't want to leave it empty. And probably this one is my favorite picture from this book. You know, I saw so many beautiful pictures by other colorists on Masa Instagram or using Masa Vanderburgh hashtag. So I was totally discouraged in my attempts that I would never be able to create similar beauty in my books. That's why I stopped to color it. Next, I have here this August Reverie. By Chintakaharas I have only one paper book, this one. I can't say that either artist style or paper quality are totally for my taste. I wasn't happy how book behaved, how paper behaved. It was difficult for me to color that image which I did. Now when I got my clear gesso, I think that it will be the book where I will be practicing more. I hope that at least clear gesso will be able to help me with this very thin paper. Some of the designs are not bad and I do love them, and I would love to color them, especially this one. Now let me show you my just one finished picture. Here it is. When I did when I colored hair and skin, it wasn't that bad. But when I started to do this background, I realized that with pencils I definitely don't want to repeat this experience, and that I need to find other mediums for this book, and only then I will be able to continue coloring in it. And my final book, at least it's the book which I was able to find on my shelves, is this one book dedicated to Star Trek. I purchased it mostly not because I wanted to color it, it's because I am a huge fan of Star Trek series, especially the oldest original series, and I wanted to have a book with the main characters. I am pretty happy simply have it without coloring. Book isn't bad. Paper is very good. I love this edition. It's one-sided, so you can use various mediums. And a lot of pictures are really good. They represent main characters nicely. But the only problem is designs were created by various artists and it's clearly visible. So book have very different style from page to page, and I would prefer a little bit less black lines on some of the portraits. I think that maybe one day when I will stop to create videos, when I won't be thinking about coloring, would it be popular, would people watch my videos if I would be coloring in such unpopular book, then I will start and I will color this book from the beginning to the end. So this book, it's a victim of me being blogger and making videos, but I do love it and I'm very happy that I purchased it. Here I did couple of pictures. This one I did for the oh my god, how to say it? It's day of cosmonautic. So we celebrate the day of the first flight of the Yuri Gagarin to the space, and on one of such dates I did this picture. Most of all, I wanted to experiment with this gouache background, and I'm very happy how it looks. So gouache can be very helpful. And my other project which I did here, the first work which I did immediately after I got this book was this one, and also I love it. It was very interesting to do. I can rewatch the series which is connected to the page and to color, so I really treasure this book. And you know, it was the end. Oh no, it's not the end. I also have couple of pictures which I printed and I colored, so I think that I will include them in this video and that will be the real end of the review of all my colored pictures. Just a moment. Here I have a pile of the sheets where I printed images. I'm really happy that this year I finally decided to purchase books in PDF format also. First, it was very convenient that because of the lockdown I don't have to wait for the delivery, I don't have to visit post office, so you can purchase and you can immediately get your book. And also I can print my images on various papers and I really started to enjoy it. So I have this Tatiana Bagema picture, I have this Alan Robert image, I have this beauty by Lenka Filonenko, I especially love this background. It was difficult to color because paper here it's for pastel, so it has texture. It was difficult to print to color, but the final look is really good. I have this freebie page from Country Farm, I believe by Teresa Goodrich. I don't own the book, but I wanted to do chickens, so I printed it. Next I have these freebie pictures from Flourish by Johanna Basford. It was fun to select these miniatures. I do appreciate that I have some stash of such small pictures which I can finish in short time when I don't have enough free time. Oh, this one is definitely one of my favorites. It was the first time when I successfully was able to color picture by Rita Berman. I totally adore both Rita's line art pictures, and I especially love how she colors her own images. She is fantastic. She has fantastic coloring skills. So these miniatures, they really helped me to understand that I also can color something by Rita. Next, what I have next, I have another picture by Tatiana Bagema and another one. My Autumn Witch. Here I selected a very soft paper, so to color details wasn't very easy, so I struggled with the fur, with the face, but in the end I do love how everything looks. Another by Tatiana Bagema, because I don't have her books in paper, like real paper books, everything I have purchased is PDF. And finally, this first page of the Advent by Johanna Basford. And finally, that's the end. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for all your lovely comments. You can't imagine how much joy I feel each time in the evening when I return from work and when I start to read all your kind comments beneath my previous videos. So thank you, and maybe you will be also interested in the next series when we will be talking about books where I haven't started yet, so-called my video of shame. Thank you and have a nice time.